Hello everyone and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Tuesday, January 7th, 2020. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. First, I want to say thank you all very much for those of you who joined me yesterday for the monthly market outlook. The video recording is now available for those of you who would want to rewatch that. Alright, let's take a look here at the ES. What you notice right now, for the most part, we're seeing rejection. We're seeing rejection here of the previous month's high price. We saw price push beyond it. We saw a failed high here and a flush. And now we've seen price return right to that previous month's high, tag it, and then return back down. Additionally, price is also pushing beyond the previous session's high price, which is right here, and is also back below that price. That's 32.49.5. So right now there's a couple of levels here that are very, very important. The 32.54 level, which is the level here that we've hit, and it turned down hard off that zone here already today. And what does that mean here moving forward? Because we've had a really strong start here, and now we're just kind of trading around this flat line, a little above it, a little below it. This lower high here could easily lead to another little pullback that goes deeper into the pivot range. But remember, we can go as deep as this 31.60, this midpoint, and still be a buying opportunity for a push higher into February and March. So again, we'll see how this develops, but this is going to be a very important zone here. If price cannot get beyond 32.50 here and it starts to seal this previous high with a lower high, then at the very least you're going to retest the prior pivot low here. That's 32.0675 with a shot to go a little bit lower. The other thing I'll have you notice is this is the previous month's high, previous month's close, previous month's low, right? Whenever these two are very close to each other, you're either going to take them bid and start to rally, or you're going to take them offered and start to move back to the midpoint with a shot to go back to the previous low. So right now, if this is being rejected, there's only two other levels here left to really test for this market this month, and that would suggest that if we cannot get above 32.54, perhaps we have a date back toward 31.60. Alright, let's take a look here at the NQ. You'll see with the NQ here, we're seeing similar price action, only the market is not below the previous month's high. You have a kind of a lower high that's developing right here, and you have a bit of a rejection, higher high failure this morning, bit of pinching bands in the intraday time frame, as this range is pretty narrow here for the day, just 52% of average range right now for the NQ versus 51% for the ES. Again, narrow ranges. If this is going to reject prices at 8,900 or above 88.50, that would suggest again at least a retest back toward these recent lows around 8,700, as this thing perhaps could trade within a range after this recent rally. Trade in a range and then build out for a continuation or maybe a pullback ahead of a continuation. Again, 8,500, that's the midpoint there. That's going to be the most important level right there, as any pullback as deep as that could still be bought. A failure to hold that level will open up a return as deep as the previous month's low. Alright, let's take a look now at crude oil. Alright, crude looks really nice here. You can see that this thing has been very, very bullish ever since this day right here. We talked about it. Big pullback, extreme reversal, just like my book teaches in the book Secrets of a Pivot Boss. You see a narrow 2-day range, and then we see expansion and stop run. Failed new low in the pivot range, in the trigger zone rather. Another pullback into the trigger zone, another pullback. This has been a very strong trending mover here ever since that breakout and continuation. We've also gotten a break through that 59, which opened up a continuation as high as 64.72. Now again, that was aided in part due to headline risk here, but overall we're seeing a nice pullback with a failed low developing now. That's going to be very important here, so keep an eye on the previous session's low. That previous session's low is 62.64. That's right there. It's a midpoint from this day here. Right now it pushed through it, retested the previous month's high from above, and then is currently pushing back above the day's midpoint and below and back above that previous session's low. So all those things look really bullish here in the short term and could ultimately lead to maybe a retest of the 64s at the very least, maybe even more upside here. A failure to hold 62, say this thing tries to go and then fails to hold 62, that's a prior pivot low here and all that. That would open up a return back toward recent lows here and likely into the pivot range. So right now this market is very strong. The expectation is for further strength ahead, especially if price can continue to hold the 62s. Lastly, taking a look here at gold futures. You'll see here with gold, very explosive movement here recently. We talked about the higher lows that formed. We talked about that big downward sloping channel and how we were likely due for a breakout here late in the season. We got it. Big move up. Look at the start to the first 3 days and then look at this pullback right there. That's going to be very important. Is that a failed new low? It certainly looks like it. A failed new low in an uptrend is a buyable dip for a continuation higher. It could be an entry on a day like today. It could be an entry over the next day or 2 or 3. But overall, this market is going up in a hurry, and it's not likely to slow down. It's only just begun. This is a breakout here that's triggered the last 2 weeks of strength. This failed new low is only the beginning as this thing continues to push toward 1600. So right now this appears like it is headed towards 1600. 1601 is the average range target, but remember, this is not an average month. It's already reached the high probability target zone in the first 3 days of the month. That means volatility has increased tremendously. You can see it down here increasing. So you likely go beyond 1600 and maybe go higher into 1625, 1640. Somewhere in that zone could be in the cards by the end of the month as this thing continues to push higher. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if there's a failure to hold 1600 here, that's the tip here of the profile. There's a failure to hold that zone, you likely come back and revert back to the mean. That could be an easy retest back toward 1525 at the very least. So keep an eye on how this plays out. But right now, failed new low in an uptrend, typically a buying opportunity. We'll see how this develops. All right, that is it for now. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.